Welcome to a special program on the murals of downtown Wadsworth. And we have three people today who know a lot about the murals, and these are the three people who probably have been the progenitors of the murals and the painters of the murals, and at least one of them is going to be the person to enjoy the murals. But we're going to start with these three people. Paulette Grubb is at the end, and she did all the painting. And Randy Toddy is, I guess you were at the, tell us what you do with the...
From Main Street Wadsworth Board of Directors, I'm the subcommittee chairman for the murals, the mural project.
And how did they hang that one on you?
Well, I've been saying that I left the room and came back at the wrong time, and it was mine somehow. But as a new board member at my first design committee meeting, we had a lot of projects going, and they were being taken care of by some other board members and other committee members. So this was a project that was kind of left hanging at the time, and I just said, well, I'll help. I'll take that.
You
and
did
it turned into this.
Good job. So. Everyone really pleased with that. And then we have Rodger Havens, and he needs no introduction whatsoever. And Rodger, your function on Main Street Wadsworth is what?
Well, I too am a board member, and but I'm also heading up the design committee for Main Street Wadsworth. And I started that a year and a half ago, and when I took over, they had just finished a major project, well, at least finishing up a major project, and that was the installation of the clock downtown. So my job is to work with people and find things to enhance our downtown area, whether it's something physical or whether it's the painting of the buildings and selecting the right colors to match the rest of the town, but it's all vetted through the design committee.
Oh, that sounds like a good thing for us to do in Wadsworth. You know, Paulette, you started this long before the murals of downtown. As a matter of fact, for the 200th anniversary in 2014, I believe that you painted a lot of really, really nice things. Tell us a little bit about that first, and then we'll get right into the murals.
Okay. Actually, the bicentennial sort of sparked my interest for my subject matter for the murals. We worked with the bicentennial committee that did the decorating for the bicentennial gala, and there was a group of us ladies that painted the 10 flats.
Who held the brush, though?
I sort of tweaked things.
Pardon me?
I tweaked things at the end of each session. I would highlight or accent or shade, or so I sort of after everybody got through painting, I would sort of go over them and just add a few things here and there.
So beautiful. They're not. Where are they now?
Yeah, it was fun. There's 6 of them here at Suprema.
In Suprema?
Yeah, and I don't know where the other 4. I think there's 2 at Main Street.
How many did you do altogether?
We did a total of 10, and they were 4-foot by 8-foot panels.
Are these the same ones that you did with reference to the murals, or not?
There's 2 of the buildings that are in the murals.
Couple of them.
Yeah. The murals that we did for the bicentennial, we didn't have any people in them. So in the murals, I really added a lot of people.
Why don't we quickly go through the murals that you have painted and tell us a little about where they are and how they're going to be displayed and things of this nature. One of the first things that ever happened in Wadsworth was the coal mine industry. As a matter of fact, had it not been for the coal mines, Wadsworth probably wouldn't be here today. And then, of course, they unfortunately, or shall we say fortunately, we don't know which, because it depends upon which side of the spectrum you're viewing this. Coal pretty well lost its need in about the mid-30s. But the very first coal mine was in Silver Creek, and I want to tell you just a very, very quick vignette of how it happened. One of our people in Wadsworth who did not want to be poor went down there. His name was Erastus Loomis, and he went down there and he began cutting up lumber or wood for the newly arrived coal, or rather steam engines. And as he was doing that, he saw some coal on the ground. He said, well, there's coal here on the ground. It must be also in the ground. And he began digging. He went straight back, and he found, very fortunately, a 17-mile-long coal vein, 4 feet thick and approximately a mile wide. Wow. So they began coals. So how about looking at the first one that you have, that's the coal mine, and if Joanne will put that up, we'll be most grateful. We'll have a little bit, there's one of them, that's a horrible picture, not of the coal mine itself, but of the fact that people who had to work under those conditions. The coal mines were only 4 feet high, and they were completely dark, filled with water, filled with gas. Oh, it was just horrible work, but nonetheless, that's what they did. And you didn't paint that particular one, but which one did you pick? That one.
They're similar. I changed
Tell
it
us
a little
about
bit.
how you picked that one with a little cute little mule on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I sort of embellished that.
Pardon me?
I embellished that photo.
No, it's not embellished. That mule actually.
Yeah, I know. But I've embellished this painting from the
making it
photo,
look
the previous photo.
making it look a little bit more
yeah.
like that they're enjoying that.
Yeah.
The mule actually, not that mule one itself, but the reason the last coal mine closed in 1935 was that the previous day the mule drowned.
Oh, really?
And John Mullaney, who was my neighbor, was alone in his little shack way at the beginning of the mine at the base of Silver Creek, the creek itself. And my father and I went down there to somewhat console him. And he had tears in his eyes when this happened. I can still picture the sun coming through that one window way up there and a coal stove burning and so forth. And his last words were, well, this is the end of the mine. And that was it. So it was particularly notable that you would pick that one as one of the first ones that we have. We have a lot of other ones as well. The downtown really did begin to flourish until probably, mid-1800s or something like that. But we have a picture, or the one that you drew that we were particularly pleased to see, is the co-op building of the, that one right there. When we talk about a co-op, we're talking about farmers bringing in their potatoes, farmers bringing in their wheat and whatever they had, and no meat particularly. The meats were pretty well butchered on their own properties, but we had that. And when you took that picture and did what you did to it, you can tell that you have a flair for making things look nice when they really were somewhat drab. So tell us about why you chose that picture and who did it.
That was one I did for the bicentennial, and I just thought some of these historic buildings are just so fascinating to me, and I just really enjoyed adding more people to them and using the colors to bring out a little more. Instead of a sepia color, I try to choose colors maybe that were used at that time on their dress and so on. And it was fun. I could, it's just nice to add color and bring more interest to the murals. But the historic buildings are, to me, very interesting. And
Randy, were you involved in any of the selections of these murals?
Yes, our method, last year, as we were getting into the project, we put out a call to artists and through various online media and so forth, and received quite a few interested proposals from artists as far as Iowa City, Iowa. And
oh, really?
yeah, we
was
brought
it a Wadsworth resident previous?
No, it wasn't. There's quite an industry in this country for murals, commercial murals.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And evidently these artists, they keep tabs on any mural projects that are going on anywhere. So we did receive several, non-local submittals. Our mural subcommittee chose the winning selection. We were bound by, or the artists were bound in their content by some rules that we imposed on them as far as content and color schemes and so forth. Us knowing that we had to pass any of our artwork past the ADC.
That's a good idea.
Wadsworth.
That's a wonderful idea, because
Right.
one of the problems we've had in the past and I'm talking 70 or 80 years ago, was that some of the buildings, in order to get it painted free of charge, would let a great big Coca-Cola bottle or something that be placed on the building. And that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something which has a lot of taste. Rodger, quickly tell us how long ago it was that the Main Street Wadsworth started talking about murals?
I believe they started like 2 years ago. They had started talking about before I took over on the design committee. And so it was just a carryover. We checked with other main streets to see what kind of rules and regulations that they put out prior to having their murals put up. Randy has traveled worldwide looking at these murals all through the state of Ohio and outside of our borders. And so he brought back ideas. He talked to some of the local people.
But Randy, that's where you get the big bucks, right?
Oh yeah, it's really paying off.
Oh, it's really paying off. One of the favorite ones that I see I have, Paulette, is the one with the Nolf building, because I knew Oliver Nolf, they called him. Knew him personally in 1939. Had my brother was able to purchase a clarinet through him, and they went to Cleveland to get it.
Oh.
So that has always stuck in my mind. Tell us about the Nolf building. That's a beautiful building right there. And if you'll notice above there, you'll see the picture of who is that on the top?
McKinley.
McKinley, who was the President of the United States. And the reason he was there was that he actually had been the president at Hiram, which is now Hiram College, and one of his student assistants was Burke Hinsdale from Wadsworth, who went there. And when McKinley became president, Burke Hinsdale took over as president, and as a result they had a good relationship, so there was back and forth. He would come here frequently. We have Garfield Injector, which was later than the Ohio Injector, Garfield Street in Wadsworth, and probably many other kinds of things that were placed under his name, because when he was president, that gave it a certain flair. But the other one is, who then followed the coal mines, was E.J. Young. E.J. Young was the one who started the Injector, the Match Company, the Ohio Box Board Company, and the Wadsworth Salt, not the Ohio Salt, but it became Ohio Salt later, but he started the Wadsworth Salt, because the person who was looking for oil one time went down 200 feet and found salt and not oil. Well, we do have a wonderful vein of salt beneath us here, so it was particularly significant that you would have there also salt barrels. People think that those are barrels for liquid, but no, they were salt barrels. And E.J. Young would meet with his people and sit there and just chat with them. What a wonderful picture there that you have. Now, another one that I think that is particularly significant is the fact that in 1907, the streetcar came to Wadsworth. And Wadsworth really went wild over the streetcar, because the other cities had a little bit of an opportunity to get from one place to another. Wadsworth didn't. If you didn't have a car, and almost no one had a car, and if you didn't have horse and buggy, the only two things that you had to transport you were your two legs. But all of a sudden the streetcar came by. Tell us a little bit about that streetcar and some of the people who were in it.
Mr. and Mrs. Rockefeller is the couple to the right. And then I sort of put Adrian and Tom Stegmeyer in it, but they're a little older looking. They would be the couple next to the door. You also are in the streetcar.
I noticed that in there, and it flatters me, let me tell you, it flatters me. No, that's not the picture that's in there, though. But that one right there, that one flatters me, and I solely appreciate that. Incidentally, those were the colors of the streetcar when they first came, orange and green. And also, Dr. Robert Johnson actually pounded the last spike in 1907. He was mayor in 1906, so he pounded the spike in. That was number one. And number two, the fact is that the streetcar actually came from Barberton to Wadsworth, went on into the West Park, backed into the North Park, and then went right back to Barberton again. At Barberton, they could get into another streetcar and go all the way to Akron. At Akron, they could get into another streetcar and go to Kent. Now that in itself is significant, but the most significant is the entire trip was only 15 cents. Wow. So you picked out a good one there for that one. We'll hurry along here with some of these other ones because they have some beautiful photos of another person who's extremely important in Wadsworth's history, and that is Laura Spellman, who married, whom did he marry, Rodger?
J.D. Rockefeller.
J.D. Rockefeller. She became the richest woman in the world, and she was born right where the American Legion Hall stands right now. The house was there for many, many years, and they tore it down. When we celebrated her 175th anniversary, her great-great-grandson wanted to come to see where his great-great-grandmother was born, and all we had to show him was a parking lot. So he didn't come. We were hoping he would come and bring some of his wares with him. I think it was called money, but he didn't come. What about, excuse me, what about some of the other ones that you would like to have us display at this time? Particularly you, Paulette, since you're the one who drew them.
Well, we did the
I think that's all.
I think that was it. That was 5.
I'm sorry?
That was the 5th one, the
That's all,
trolley.
that was all of them.
I believe we have some pictures of them being installed, and maybe Randy can talk about that process.
Yeah.
Tell us how they were installed. Rodger, you might be able to start us off, but then let's have Randy tell us what happened that morning.
Okay, well, it started off as a nice sunny morning. And this person came in and taped up the transfers. So none of the original paintings are on the wall. Those are transfers. They are well, I'll turn it over to Randy.
Okay.
He knows more about than me.
Yeah, what we determined, again, due to some of the restrictions that we have in Wadsworth as far as our ability to paint on raw brick versus previously painted surfaces and so forth, in my investigation on mural procedures around the state and other places, a lot of people are using what they call a heat shrink vinyl transfer, and it's really worked out well for us in this case, where the artist can actually do their artwork in the comfort of their own home. In this case, what Paulette did, we would be able to receive artwork from anywhere in the world, and basically the process is you photograph this at high resolution, you enlarge it if you want, and we did in this case.
And who photographed this one?
Actually, Tom Stugmeyer did
Tom
the
Stugmeyer,
photography.
our own local person.
He was involved and helped in many ways. We then send those high resolution photographs to a graphics art printer and installer. And they
located where?
This particular source was up in Warrensville Heights. We brought down.
Close by then.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they printed on 1.5 mil vinyl. There's a laminate protective coating put over the top of that on their print, and they bring it down, and literally it was taped to the wall. There's an adhesive back. They peel the adhesive off, stick it to the wall, and then they heat it up, and that's where the installation skill comes in, because you can burn this material very easily.
And a rubber roller.
And they rub it in with a rubber roller, sponge type.
But you can't come by and rip it off, though.
No, it is considered a temporary installation. You can remove it somewhere down the line if we're so inclined. The lifespan on this type of application is about 10 to 11 years. And we expect in this particular alley, being mostly shaded throughout the day, that we'll get better life expectancy even than the 10, 11 years.
Okay, that sounds, the technology is absolutely outstanding. Do the what's the name of that company that did it?
It was Speed Pro Graphics in Warren
Now,
Heights.
do they do that? Do they do that out of the goodness of their heart?
Oh no, we had to pay to have it installed, printed and
And it's
installed.
probably fairly expensive to have it installed, right?
It is. You know, what I found in investigating mural programs, Steubenville had a fantastic program. They have 27 very large, full building size murals down there, and that system is run by their Visitors Bureau. All of theirs are painted, and they're commercially painted. So you're paying, you know, professional artists their commission to come in and do this. In this case, Paulette was kind enough to donate her artwork.
She's a professional artist.
Yes, she is, but in this case, she donated her work. We then had to obviously pay for the material, the printing, and the installation.
Now, how are we going to pay that?
Well, we're trying to raise money through the community, through private and corporate donation.
Ah.
And that's one of the reasons we're here to talk about that. We're about probably 40% to our goal for this year's murals. We have these 5 that are currently installed. We have another very large mural coming up in August that will be painted on the south-facing subway building.
How many bucks are we talking about?
Well, we need in the neighborhood of $25,000 for this year.
Oh,
so
that's doable, isn't it?
It's doable,
You know.
and as I said, we're probably 40% there. Main Street has committed to pay for any differential, but obviously we're hoping we don't have any differential.
If I wanted to give a kind of a dollar donation, you would accept it?
Sure.
You would accept that one? You want it?
We'll take it right now, in
Yeah.
fact.
Right now.
Pardon me?
We'll take it right now, in fact.
Well, I'll be glad to do that. Rodger, I say this with all affection. You probably are the one person who knows how to get people to come forth with the lucre. What other ways can we do this? How can we get some more money in this way?
Well, there's several ways. Number one, cash donation is always accepted. We usually have somebody taking the cash during the first Friday nights.
Okay, so we can do that at the first Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You can send a check in to where?
And you can send a check into, and it's up on the screen just now, 102 Main Street, Suite 20. And so you can just write a regular check, pop it in an envelope, put it there. If you want to save the 50-cent postage stamp, you may hand carry it down and put it in the old Citizens Bank building, which is now the real estate building. If you go in the side door off of College Street, right next to the old drive-through there, there's a black box there that you can also just hand place your check donation, put it in an envelope, identify yourself if you wish.
Now we have.
And it's tax deductible. You can't get any better than that.
No, that's true. We have about 20,000 people in Wadsworth. If everyone gave $1 as I am,
We would be there.
truthfully or seriously, however, we do need to have people come forth with this. And I heard you say that your master artist over there, Paulette, did this gratis?
Yes.
How nice. How nice. And you're not even a Wadsworth native, are you?
No, but we've
You're a
been
Norton
here.
native.
Yeah,
Norton native.
we've
right?
been here for 20-some years.
sorry?
So we've been here for 20-some years. So I
20-some
feel like
years.
I'm a part of Wadsworth.
Well,
and
listen, we'll
it's
claim
nice to
you
get
and
back.
let you stay, particularly if you do some more of the drawings. That's wonderful.
Oh, there's one other
quick.
way that can be donated. Randy, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we can do a couple ways online through social media. We've got a giving grid set up on the Main Street Wadsworth website. You can also pay by PayPal, again in that same website prompting. And what we've set up real quickly, I'll try to run through this, is we've got different levels of donors that we're recognizing. Our plan is to permanently recognize donors at a certain level through a donor plaque.
And
to
my
be-
$1 won't make it, will it?
That's not going to quite make it. We've got a bronze, silver, gold, and platinum level. The bronze level is $100 or more. The silver level is at $500 or more. Gold at $1,000 or more, and platinum at $5,000 or more. our plaque and recognition will recognize the silver level and above.
And we have had already some people who have made substantial
Yes.
contributions.
Yes.
And we're really grateful to those people. And
Yeah.
we'll be even more grateful to anyone else who wants to make it.
Sure.
We have just a couple of minutes left. As a matter of fact, less than a couple of minutes left. Paulette, would you please tell us one thing that everyone wants to know? Where did you learn to draw? And how did you find the time to do it?
I just was interested in art from, when I was a little girl, and I loved it in high school, and I went on to Kent State in art education. I graduated, and I taught at Norton Schools. Finding the time, it's easier now when the kids are grown, and it's just we're empty nesters now, so I find more time to be able to paint. And I work on other projects too. I work with other designers, and I have other commissions.
Well, I can tell you from my own point of view, and also from the point of view from the City of Wadsworth, we are grateful for all of those efforts. We are grateful also, Randy, that you took this on when you were out of the room, or however that worked. And certainly grateful to Rodger for having been one of the people starting the Main Street tradition. So thank you to all three of you as we close our program for today.